Hi, so today I thought I was in the mood for something monochromatic and misty. So we have this scene which I went through Pixabay and picked out, and there's not a lot of detail in there and there's not a lot of colour. So I'm going to be working on experimenting with texture and splashing and maybe some granulation and just generally playing about, but still trying to keep those values right. So we've got the very light valley for the sky, we've got then the furthest mountains, then the slightly nearer mountains, then those trees, and then the foreground trees. There is a little bit of colour in there, a little bit of green. I don't know if we'll put that in, we'll see how we feel. I'm putting out some cerulean because it granulates really well, so he's going up there. That is cerulean, yes. Good. And I was going to put out some Payne's Grey, but I seem to have run out, so I'm going to put out some neutral tint, which I'm not sure is quite what I want, but neutral tints generally have a colour cast to them, and I think this one's slightly purpley. Maybe purpley is fine. We'll see. Okay, right, let's pop you in there. Let's just do a quick sketch and see how we get on. I'm going to be using a big brush for a lot of this and some other brushes to put in some splatter and things. So this is my big brush. This is this Skoda Aquario, and this is my little brush, the size 14, this one. And this is an Skoda Reserva, and the number has worn off, but I think that's around an 8. But something, a big one and a kind of a smallish one. And the water bottle will be coming into its own, I think, with this to put in some texture on those washes. Right, so I'm working on, again, Archer's 140-pound cold press. I won't need a lot of... I'm tempted, actually, not to draw in those back mountains at all and just indicate the trees. And I am going to put in a bounding box, I think, for this. Not quite as wide as this paper. I'm just eyeballing the aspect ratio. It's not really going to matter. I'm going to go all the way to the right because I can bash into my palette. Okay, so that's where we're gonna. Oh, that's not very straight, is it? No, I'm gonna erase that actually. That's a bit better. Okay, all right. Now, horizon line is around 2/3 of the way down. Here. I'm gonna lightly put in the horizon, trying to keep that straight. And then these background trees start coming up. I'm going to keep with the horizon coming across. And actually, the foreground trees, they end right in the middle, which is kind of a no-no. I don't know, let's just do it. So that comes down a little bit, so that's slightly close to us. I'm going to emphasize that a little bit. It comes across. Okay, it comes up. And these trees finish, so that finishes, the ground finishes just below halfway. The trees finish around, I don't know, half a quarter, so that's the top of that big fill-in tree. That tree there, okay. I'm just marking where things roughly go. Comes across. And up. Just going to put in some verticals for those trees. I don't want too much graphite here. Is this one? I'm trying to get the spacing between them uneven. I'm tempted to put that one closer to that one. Yeah. There's this one here. And there's a little one just here. Okay. Now these background ones, so there's this little bump out bit. I had paint on my hand there. And down. And then the trees come up. It's going to roughly indicate where the tops of them are. There's a little divot in there. And there's this one that comes out. I'll angle him a little bit. Okay, right. So that's pretty much all the drawing we need. I'll just put it on overhead. Not quite, there you go. Yeah, I mean, very little drawing there. Let's see if this works out. Okay, put it on Zoom. Oh, let's put it on canvas because I'm going to be doing some pad work. Okay, I'm going to leave the sky. For now, I think I'm going to leave it white. And I'm thinking I'm going to work wet into wet, which could be a terrible mistake. But this is an experiment time. Sorry, I'm just reaching over for some paper towels because I forgot to put any out. All right, so let's just wet this paper. Oh, I've even got a cleanish brush for once. Almost unheard of. And I'm going to work into this surface quite a bit. This is really playing. And as usual with these studio rough cuts, I've no idea if this is going to work. Could be a terrible disaster. Right, okay, actually I'm going to move to just a slightly smaller one. This is my silver black velvet. Can I angle them that way? That's better. Size 14. Right, so this is very, very grey. I'm going to start with cerulean. So, oh, this brush is not. Now I have green mountains. Okay. Let's start with a bit of cerulean. It's kind of light, but it's not number 9, value 9 light. This is just drying a little bit. I don't want it to be super, super wet. How does this look? Let's try that. Right, so where do these... Now, this is this tree. I think I want this mountain to finish. I should dab a bit. Yeah, maybe a little too wet. Let's just push on. I'm going to put that tree so it comes out. Comes down quite gradually with some knobbles in. And it finishes around here. Then it goes back up again. I know we have mountains in front of these. I'm going to bring this all the way down. Good. Let me just lighten it slightly. All the way down to the horizon. I hope it won't bleed too much. All right. So we have that. And again, I'm going to go through the horizon and do the whole thing. This is just the underwash. All right. I'm going to try some. This is just a bit of spray. It hasn't bled too much, which is good. So a little bit of spray on those back mountains. Yes, interesting. I don't think I'm going to put any. I was thinking about putting some splatter on here, but I think they're far enough away. We won't need that, but I am going to let that dry a little bit. I'm just going to test. I wonder if we can put in these mid trees. Let's try a similar mix, but grey it down a little bit, and it's going to be less water. We want it to be slightly darker. That's what I hate about this brush. Paint seems to get stuck on the end of it. Let's see how this goes. Put a little bit in there. Is that going to bleed too much? Well, maybe not. Again, I can go all the way through this foreground bit. I know it's green in there. I might pull out some colour. I'm not going to do the reflections right now. This looks incredibly simple. I make this mistake time and time again. It looks incredibly simple, but then when I come down to actually doing it, it's actually very, very tricky. Right, just dry my brush off. I'm going to put a little colour in here for that tree. Another little bit there, and I'm just dotting, I think that's probably a better word. I'm dotting colour on a little bit. It won't destroy it too much. Okay, right. Okay, right, now I am going to leave that, I think. So I'm just going to pop this on pause, and I kind of like those values already. This may be a little light still. We will see. Right, I'm just going to pop him on pause. And yeah, let's put a little bit of spray and a little bit of splatter. See how this looks. Now this could go everywhere. I generally use my hand to shield, just to give that colour a bit of variation. And I'm not putting anything in like complements or stuff like that. Not now, anyway. Yeah. Okay, that's enough. It gives a kind of misty demeanour. There's a little bit of value variation in here. These ones are slightly darker, this one's slightly lighter. We can do some glazing over afterwards, see how that works. But anyway, it's going on pause. I'm going to let him dry. So it's dried a little bit. It's not completely dried. I was just thinking, we do want a little bit of bleeding in this piece here. I'm going to switch to another brush. This is my current favourite brush, which is a Da Vinci Casaneo size 2, whatever that means. So I want something darker. I think I'm going to stick with the cerulean. And yeah, let's do the burnt sienna again. Let's do brown. Yeah, that won't be dark enough completely, but it'll give us, not everything is all that dark, but I'm still not undecided about that green. Let's see what this looks like value-wise. Pardon me. Right, now this tree, these are gonna bleed. I think is good. What it kind of indistinct. Yeah. Just wondering about the value. But it's just nice putting some paint down, to be honest. Let's go across. This is kind of irregular. And this one's going to be tricky. If I put in the branches first. It's drying very quickly now. It's got kind of a canopy bit here. And goes into that tree. I'll just push that over. How's that looking? Just go for it. Let's do this one up here. This has got kind of, and I've splayed my bristles here. Now, if you look at the photo, this has got a lot of gaps in it, but I think if we paint it that way, it's going to look a bit stripy. And I've got the fans on in here because it's pretty warm. Right, so it gets a bit bushier down here. Yeah, actually, I think the fans drying the paint is helping me a little bit because it's making the dry brush easier. It's going to be split quite a bit. All right, a little more mixture for this big. It's almost monolithic, this one. Slightly more blue. I don't want it to look brown. I don't want it to be bright blue. Gosh, this is drying so fast. And it comes down here. I'm using quite a lot of the side of the brush when I'm doing this. Okay. Just a little bit of light blossom, a little bit. I've left just a few gaps in there. Where's my, oh, here it is. Just a little spritz. All right. So looking back at reference, this little chap up here, I'm dabbing my brush on paper towel because I really do want this to be dry brush. Just dabbing paint on. It's the one time you're allowed to dab. Have I got those two equal? Even, I probably have. A little bit of interest, just to put some shape back here. If I can lift out. Just want a little space for a bit of green. And bring some yellow in. I wonder if I can just Yeah, maybe a little too yellow. Let's see. I'm gonna splash a bit of water. Right, now it's not great yet, she says, hopefully. Okay. Right, some good. I'm wondering about the water, whether we should leave that. Yeah, well, I'm not really liking it so far, frankly. It's not what I hoped for. I'm actually going to change the value of this. This needs to come down in value, I think, and this also needs to come down in value. Let's try that. And mostly cerulean, just a little tickle. Tickle of burnt sienna. Okay, the shapes slightly different. Let's dab that on a paper towel. And this one's slightly darker. I've got to be really careful here because I want to keep this so it looks in the same plane as everything else, but there is a slight value change. Okay. And yeah, it's merging with this, but that's fine. We can go back and do something with that. Pull that through there. Okay. Maybe tricky this. Kind of tricky. Right, I'm going to go maybe a little ultramarine. It's a little dark, but it will make me a darker Peroni. Let's go for broke. This may bleed. Put some across the bottom. Joining my darks up a little bit where I can. A little bit of smoothing here and there. And these don't finish, these finish kind of down here. That was bad. Clean that brush. Just to get that edge. Right, yeah. Dab on the paper towel. So I've still got the dark colour, but I don't have the water. It's kind of a bit more diffuse. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Alerting me. I don't know if this is how's this looking? It's not so bad. It's not, but it's not Tryout, I don't think. I think the layering is kind of working. Layering is working. It's too wet. And this gets really quite dark in here. And there's not a lot of detail you can see. So I'm taking that out, and this trunk also comes down. It's little dark bushes tickle the top. I don't know, maybe. Dab it again on a paper towel. It's not enough. How's that looking? Put it on overhead, and then you can see the full horror of it all. Overhead zoom. It might be one of those that I hate when I do it, and then I'll come in tomorrow morning and go, oh my god, that's amazing. Doesn't happen often. Sometimes it does. Right, let's have a go at this water. Now, all these ripples. How are we going to do these? Are we going to make them soft? Or are we going to smooth them out? I don't know. Let's put on some water. We're going to need this to be wet. Okay, that brush wasn't quite as clean as I thought it was. Let's try this Casaneo. I'm going to put on, so there's kind of two values in there. There's this lighter value, and then the darker value here. So let's put on some lighter value. Let's try this cerulean again. I think fairly quickly because my paper's drying. Don't know if that's going to be blue enough. How's that going to go? More water, I think. This is tricky, this. And I don't do a lot of water reflections, so which is part of the reason for doing this kind of thing, because it's a little too brown. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Let's try and lift that up a bit. Pull it through, and will that work? That might have a chance. And of course, all the time our paper's drying like crazy. Maybe. Some colour in here. Bring this across. The dark is going to go on top of this. Let's pull some lines through. A bit too wet. Got to be careful. The ripples are actually at the top, too close together to see. Well, I think I'm going to have another go at this, aren't I? Right, well, while we're here, let's put in some dark for this darker reflection. There's no light in there, is there? There's no light. It's all dark down here. Okay, go. Winging it right now. This one's very dark over here. Comes down here. It does have some well, I think you'll agree that's not a triumph, is it? Fun though, I have to say. Every time you do this, you do kind of learn something more about how the water works and how the reflections work. Come on, that's yellow. Putting in something a little darker. I can't really work into it that much more. This one in. Let's break it up a little as it goes down to the bottom. And here's probably something here. Well, my colours all over the place. Just going to put in a little bit of and take that down and value, but still keep a bit of colour. Oops. Okay, I'm going to have to wrap up, I think. Now I've got to the point where I think, well, this is not going to be fabulous. So I'm just going to go for Baroque. I don't know. it was good fun to try. A little bit of sponsor up there. Okay, well, I could work more on that. I think I need to take a more measured approach. It was a good first pass, I think. Let me just put him on to. Oh, you've got him in shot. It's got something, hasn't it? The shapes are a bit dull, but I think the values are working. Maybe a little too dark here. It will dry a little later. I kind of like the mistiness of the tops of the mountains that kind of fade out a little bit. I do like that value change. Obviously my ripples are close to disastrous, but anyway, okay. Well, that was fun. That was fun. We'll revisit this, I think. And if you've been watching, thank you for watching. I hope to see you again.